the idea here is to help you learn how to overcome the most common issues, and not just from a written script standpoint, but actually playing real life sales calls so you can hear the people say it and then watch them, in many cases, melt and then agree to buy with you, even though they need to talk to their pet rock or whatever their excuse was, right? So without further ado, let me make sure we're good in the YouTubes. Looks like we are. So let's go ahead and let's play.
Information here. Let's see. Glinda Rose, what is your social security number?
I don't feel uncomfortable giving that out.
Well,
Uh-oh. Everybody hear that? Social security number. How many of you have had that kind of objection before? I mean, if you sold insurance any length of time, you're going to get that objection, right? So what's the nature of why this person's saying this? Identity theft. What's the bigger issue? Trust. They don't trust you, right? They're having some issues giving something out that's of value, at least in their eyes, okay? So a couple of things that I think of. There is a rebuttal. You're going to hear it in a second. First of all, you're going to hear this more on the phone. So this is something you have to get better at mastering and overcoming, okay? And how you handle it, as you'll hear in this example, can help mitigate some of this concern. But this is one of the most common ones, but probably what's more common than the Social Security number is the bank account. That comes later after this, actually. So we'll play that for you. But the idea here is sometimes it's a trust issue, right? So maybe you didn't build enough value, or build enough rapport with your client. That's a takeaway of something to do on the next call. Obviously, what do you do right now? How do you build more rapport and trust? We'll kind of talk about some things here by listening to this on what you can do to handle that. So let me go ahead and play this and then give you some ideas that I also have. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry. There it is.
I do get that a lot, but keep in mind I am a licensed life insurance agent. Sometimes, I've done it before. We can call the licensing department there in your state. They're happy to verify that I am active licensed. But this company has to abide by all federal privacy standards. We've never had any mishaps with the Social Security numbers. I don't even store them on my computer. They're just on the application through the company. And that's the only way that they can really attach a policy to you is that's your identifier. There's no other way to do it, right?
Okay. So remember what we said earlier with the objection handling like script or formula? I call it the ask formula. Answer the objection, sell why they should do it anyway, whatever their objection was, and then close. So let's walk through this and how this would sound. He said in the beginning, hey, I get that a lot, right? So he's acknowledging to the client like, hey, you're not the only one that has this concern. So it's acknowledging her feelings. She's not feeling attacked or put on defense, right? So that's a good thing. The second step is selling why they should do it anyway. Now, what you say here can vary, but you need to give some kind of reason why, even though you have this issue, you need to do it anyway. And basically what I think this was James, what James said in this was pretty simple. Hey, we've never had any issues or mishaps. We abide by all the federal rules or jurisdiction rules, whatever he said. And we don't even store the information, okay? The explanation can be just that simple. I totally understand where you're coming from, but the good news is this information stored with the insurance companies. They have to have this in order to process your application. This is all true. They have to have it. You can't get insurance without having a Social Security number to run your medical information bureau check, right? But what did he miss here? What didn't he do? And this is the most common part of the objection handle that's always missed. What do you do after you rebuttal it? Close. Then shut up. Close and shut up. So what's the close here? What he should have said is something like, blah, 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 federal mishap, we never had any problems. So what's your social? Go back to asking the question, okay? We were joking about this the last time. Sometimes people don't say Social Security number, right? Like it has some sort of like, it's a SOC, right? The SOC. Can I have your SOC, please, right? So you can do that if you like that, if that makes you feel better about it. Or your social number. This isn't as official sounding, right? But yeah, again, that's how you handle that. That's how you overcome it. Remember, answer the objection, sell why they should do it anyway, and then close. Don't forget the close. Because what happens if you don't close? Right. But what's going on when you don't close in the sense of leadership? Are you leading the person where you want to? Yeah, she doesn't know what's to come. Because you as a salesperson, you're in charge of this presentation to lead the prospect to the close. You need to show leadership. And when you don't close, you don't show assertiveness, leadership, or authority to guide people to make the right decisions, which really, truly, people want you to help them make a good decision. And part of that is expressing with an assumptive confidence that the decision that they're going to make is a good one. Does that make sense, everybody? So always be closing. I mean, literally, it's true. Because if you don't, then people will doubt your convictions. Very important. Let's continue to hear what happens next.
What about just giving the last four numbers?
Now I've got to put the whole thing in there. I've got to put the whole thing in there.
How much license policy?
And then the next step is to put in the beneficiary. That's the next stage. Is that?
So again, she's like, did I give? What about the first four? So now she's kind of negotiating, but it's not an objection. She could have said, heck no, I'm not giving. I told you the first time I'm not doing it. She didn't. She kind of, what about halfway? What about 4 digits instead of 9, right? And the agent's good. No, that's not how it works. I have to have all 9. Now, we cut that part out. That's why you didn't hear that. But then he proceeded to get it. So now the call continues. We talk beneficiary, but then also I think the banking information is next.
We're headed to after I get your social, and then we put the beneficiary in, and then you do have to set up your payment information for, like we said, the February 3rd, and then they send everything out to you in writing, and you have a 30-day free look period. So if you decide during that 30 days that you found a better policy or you've just changed your mind for whatever reason, there's absolutely easy to cancel it at any time.
Oh God, help me. Boo. Why was that terrible? What did he say?
Get out.
The free look close. That's called the Hail Mary. That's when everything else fails, you close with the Hail Mary, right? Hail Mary is the last thing you do, okay? So the thing is, strategically, I don't want you closing on free look periods because you're not really closing, but you're not getting commitment. You're getting a put off to make a commitment. You can just say yes and then decide in 30 days. Now, to be fair, some of them will keep it, right? And but there's some that won't because it's not a real commitment. It's not one that's based off of value, And the other thing too is he didn't even need to say that. That's the big issue. Is like, where was her objection to buying? I mean, the objection to giving the social is not objecting to buying. She may be ready to buy, but the social thing is her confusion or concern. And if you address that, then the sale is there. So why do we need to sell by saying you can quit at any time and get your money back, right? Save that for last. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. And the other thing, too, is don't say too much. Say enough to make your point and then close. And only address the thing that she's saying is a concern. In this case, it was the social, so it should be about the social. The rebuttal should be about that, not 30-day free look. Why would she? You may have caused an issue by saying that. You see what I'm saying? So.
All right, go ahead with that social. Okay. I'm going to re-enter it. Okay, we are just at the final. Okay, we are just at the final step here. This is the payment section. Again, nothing's going to come out until February 3rd. We line that up with your Social Security payment, but we do have to put it in now. Do you have an account and routing number?
No.
Okay.
You did second beneficiary?
Oh, you know what? You're right. I forgot about that. Let's go back and put that on there. Thanks for reminding me. Now, but are you going to have that account and routing number as well?
What's wrong with that question?
You asked it instead of...
Why are we asking for permission? Is this my mommy? It's my client. They need to do what I tell them to. And I don't need to ask them permission, right? And I'm being tongue-in-cheek here. The point is, you don't want to ask questions that could lead to a no, right? Hi, I'm Dave Duford. Do you want to talk about buying burial insurance from me today? Click, 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 right? Versus, hey, I'm Dave Duford. I'm calling about the information you requested. You put down your age of 78, so on and so forth. I'm not asking, I'm confirming, and I'm moving along. And again, that goes back to that whole exhibiting confidence thing. When you're asking questions and you're saying things like, do you have that bank account? If they're on the fence, they're more likely to just say no to that because of how you phrase the question. So what would be a better, so I want you guys to answer, what would be a better way to ask that question?
All right, so let's go ahead and get everything set up for you. Now, if you have your checkbook in front of you, there's a 9-digit number called a routing number. It usually starts with a 0, 1, 2, or 3. Just tell me when you're ready.
Yeah. Notice he didn't ask for permission. He said, go grab it. Here's where to find it. Tell me when you're ready. No permission, right? That's the kind of language pattern you should have all the time throughout, not just here, but throughout the entirety of your conversation. There should be no question, and again, it's the display of this confidence that leads people to the direction you want them to. And the further you get away from that, the more objections you cause because of how you're addressing this. And this is an example of the agent doing that. So let's keep listening.
That's off of what?
That's just to line up your monthly payments. So this company doesn't use like a debit card. The only way to set it up is reoccurring payments through your checking account number.
That is my other one too.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
They take it right out of my check.
You're right, and I work with Sarah. Oh, okay, so you're fine doing the account routing numbers, what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you're saying you're fine with it? It's bringing it up like, okay, you're fine doing it. Great. So what's the number? Right? He's almost asking, like, are you sure you're fine? By asking the question that gives her the option to say no. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, you're fine with it. So what's the number? That's the best way to handle it.
Yeah, but I don't have any right now.
Okay. Well, let's put in your beneficiary, and we'll save it, and then we'll try to schedule a call back to when we can get that because they won't actually issue the policy and send anything out until that.
Did you hear those terrible words? Schedule a callback. Schedule? Do they call back? No, they disappear into the ethers. They've come out of their shell to answer your phone call and to never ever answer it again. There is no second call. Remember the rules of engagement here, folks? One call close. So what can you do to get the number then? If Dave says, do not hang up the phone, you got to get it. What are you going to do to get it? Let me pass this out. What's your idea, Eric?
Typically, what you do is you can Google it as long as it's not one of a couple different banks.
The routing number?
Yeah, the routing number.
Yeah.
Confirm that with them, and then just ask them if A, they have a deposit slip, or B, if they have anything with the account number on it. And then you can also do a 3-way to the bank.
Right. 3-way to the bank. Sometimes they don't do that, but that is possible. You can also look online. Some of our clients are sophisticated enough to have online access. They should be able to find their bank account on like a statement or something like that. So that's a possibility. If in their junk pile in their home, they have their starter checks, you may be able to find that and pull an account number off that. But do not just schedule a call back without at least trying, right? All of this. And if they're saying, oh, it's somewhere in the back, then what you need to say is, great, I can wait for you all day. Go ahead and find it. I can be here all day. Jay, I think, said that on one of the calls earlier. Go grab your prescriptions. I'll wait. No problem. Right? Like it needs to be done today, guys. People change their mind. And then that person's going to buy from somebody else, because he just didn't have it at that point. Any questions about that? Cool. All right, let's keep going.
Information has been put in here. So I'm putting in the second beneficiary now. Is that your child as well?
Your daughter, yes.
Okay, what's her name? Got a saving spot here. Yep. Okay, I'm at a saving spot now. Everything is in here. I think I can save this. What do you think the time frame is on how you can get that routing and account number?
Well, I seen if I go to the
That's the time frame.
You don't have an old checkbook written around the house? An old checkbook?
I know it's in my purse.
Yeah, if you got an old check, it's just written right there at the bottom.
Yeah, I know. I have to get this first.
I'll take your time. Yeah, that's much better. I'd rather wait 10 minutes here than schedule a call back. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Any questions on that one? I think the next.
After I do this application for you.
Yeah. Any questions on the banking information? Stick with it. Stay with it. Mike?
Do you use the third-party services where you ping the checking account after you pull it just to make sure it's valid?
No. I mean, if they're going to lie, they're going to lie. I mean, the only other way is a validation method. Some apps embed that and do that for you. I don't know which carriers do. So what Eric's talking about is making sure that the number is legit. I think the North Star people do something. I remember them talking about that. SBLI does it. I think that's embedded in. So certain apps do it for carriers, but others don't. I think the main thing is when you take the number, go through the number, make sure it's the one they gave, and if you want to mess with them, take the inverse the number somewhere. That's 061000012. Okay, just confirm you said 061000021. What? No, idiot. It's 12. Okay, at least I know I got the right number. Probably they wouldn't catch that. If they say yes to it again, then maybe there's an issue. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe then, oh, wait a minute. No, which one is it? But then if they're going to lie, they're going to lie. You know what I mean? So that's my thinking. Questions on that, guys? So in short, build value, go through the script. If you go through our script like you're supposed to, you really won't have that many objections. But when you do get these objections like this, a social security to your bank number, you answer it, you overcome it, and you close. Make sure you're closing. That's the biggest issue. That's the biggest way to move forward in an app, and a lot of agents drop the ball there because they get nervous. We understand. Questions? Okay. Let's keep moving. Let's go to, I think this is, I need to think about it.
You should qualify for level 1 day coverage. So that, like I said, that means your payment never, goes up and never coverage. So that, like I said, that means your payment never, goes up and never cancels, and there's 0 wait time. There's no 2-year wait period because you're in good health, you're still kicking, and from the day you make your first payment, you're fully 100% covered. And so for your amount, which policy amount did you want to go with?
You know what? That's what something I need.
So yeah, good close and then good standard. Here's the benefits of the program. Here's how it works. Which one do you want to go with? Now, a couple of things I will say that I like to see at the close. I want to reference what the client told me that they wanted to accomplish at that point in time. Like Mrs. Jones, so the program you can qualify today, it's for $10,000 in valuable whole life coverage. You're fully covered. The rates never go up, coverage never cancels. And the reason this is the best fit for you is because you told me you want to be buried and you want to make it affordable. This fits your budget, and this is going to give you peace of mind and protect your family. So which one of these do you want to start with? So with that, we go circle back to everything they told us that was important, right at the most important point where they start to waffle. Like, this is what you said you wanted, is what we're saying in so many terms. Which one do you want to start with? A presumed close, right? Again, do you want to start with something? No. Which one do you want to start with today? And then make sure, shut up. Don't interrupt their thinking if they take some time to really think about it. I had a client or an agent once roll out with me one day. We sat down, I pitched the deal, and this dude was like quiet for like what seemed like an eternity. It was like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just sitting there watching, whatever on TV, and he's sitting there thinking, not saying anything. He was thinking, you could tell his gears are turning. And then she's beside me, she's like, well, you don't have to take the 15. You could do the 10, or we could write you another deal. And I was like, hold up, man. What do you mean? You're saying something? And then I didn't get the deal. The first person who speaks loses. That's the old sales saying. And that gets them confused. That's the problem, is you have to let them work through this stuff in their head. And then when they say something, then you can answer ASC it and then close. Okay? All right, let's see what Mildred has to say here about talking to her daughter.
Go with.
You know what? That's what something I need to kind of figure that out. And but is there any way you can let me think about it and then I could contact you when I decide on which one? And what company is this through?
Now, she did a smart little thing here. She was making a statement, and then what did she just do? Ask a question. What's powerful about questions? Keeps you controlled, right? So I'm asking a question, you're answering me. See what I'm saying? Like when you ask questions, that's the person who's in control. I always think of like the cops, the police. They're asking me a bunch of questions. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. They're in control. I'm not. And I don't want to ask them questions too much. But you get the idea. So as a salesperson, if you're in control, it's because you're asking questions. But at any time, the client may pipe up and ask a question too and start to wrangle control away from you. And if you're not cognizant to what's going on, You may just start answering the question. Now, which company was this with? And then, oh, this company's with so-and-so, ABC. And then they're going to start following up with more questions. Great. Okay, I'll call you back. And then you'll lose control. Does that make sense, everybody? So the idea behind this is when somebody asks you a question, you briefly respond and ask them a question back. Okay? You say like, hey, that's a good point. I'll get back to it. Like if somebody says, how much does this cost early off in the call? Chris, what do you say?
Just what you said.
Which was?
We'll move on and get back.
Yeah. Great question. Let me ask you a few questions first, then I'll definitely answer it. So what's your height and weight or wherever you're at? And then notice how I close, and it's almost like an ASC thing too. You're closing, but this time you're continuing the conversation where you left off. So you're getting back to where you left off. So this is kind of the deal here. You got to watch out for this question at the objection, and you want to say, great, that's a good question. That's with this company, but let's go back to what you were saying. For what reason do you need to wait? What's causing you to wait, right? And you'll see how he addresses it. Does that make sense, though? We don't want to let her or our clients have runaway questions to lose control. That's the idea.
This would be through family benefit life.
Family benefit.
What do you mean, the price? Is it like you can afford it, or tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I'd like to figure out how to work it into my budget because I do, I do live on a budget. And I do have a savings, and I own my own home, and, things like that. So I'm fortunate that way. But I don't want to commit to something until I make sure that's what I want. And I kind of like to talk it over with my daughter.
Is this like the truth? No. So what is it? A lie. I mean, yeah, we don't know. It may or may not be true. But the point is, I can tell you this, more often than not, what she's saying and what any of our prospects are saying is not to be believed until it's challenged, okay? It's like this is the mask that she displays and the excuse that she gives, but you have to challenge that because maybe it's a paper tiger. It really isn't anything. And if you just show some authority and some leadership, it was nothing. But maybe it is real, and maybe it's a real objection. But you don't know until you rebuttal it. Does that make sense? So the goal is you cannot ever take anything at face value from your prospects. Likely it is a lie or a white lie, or they're not, well, maybe they are lying outright, but the point is you can't just let them get away with it. You got to challenge it because a lot of times it just isn't real. Now, a couple of things here. What did she say that was an issue? Price, talk to my daughter. Again, these are things which may or may not be true. And there are things we can do, like lower the price, possibly. Maybe he didn't say something clearly in the beginning that got the firm price. Maybe that was the whole, I think that is affordable type of response when he sold the premium. Stuff like that will manifest itself on the back end. And they'll say stuff like, I don't know if I want it. I got this and that, my daughter. But it was really something he did or didn't say early on that got the client, that didn't qualify the client enough. So again, that's why we want to refine our script to make sure we're following our script, because the script takes out the objections that you will eventually hear. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see how he handles this and discuss.
I got you. So I just want you to know you're not paying anything today. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, you're not paying anything today. So you don't have to worry about that. And with talking to your kids, you're talking to your daughter. That's exactly what I want you to do. After all, the money's going to them. But let me make a suggestion for you. And this is not a creative way to make a sale, because the sale's not made until you pay for the policy. And you're certainly not doing that today. So my suggestion is this. We get you medically improved in minutes. So you got this. We schedule out the payment 10 days, 2 weeks, a month from now. That's your decision. And that time, you talk to your daughter, talk to the family, shop around until you're blue in the face. Only one of these three things could possibly happen. One, we're going to stay the course. The ball is rolling slowly. You and your family are good with it. Or two, you can make any changes to the policy before now and when you pay for it. So if you're figuring out you need to go lower, that's totally fine. Or three, God forbid you find something better, just give me the call. I will pull the plug without any pushback, but at least the process has started. You're approved. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So basically it was like, we don't know if you can even get this until we can approve you. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's just see what you can get. And then you'll have all the time in the world to talk to your daughter, to which she won't do this or do that. Does that sound good? That was the close. The okay there at the end was the close. And she was like, okay. She didn't even push back, right? And that's where I'm talking about when I say paper tiger. Like, you may hear something that sounds like a strong objection, but even if it comes from a tough dude that's intimidating to you, you have to rebuttal it because you just don't know what on the other side of that is, right? Again, why do people do this? I don't know. But if you have kids, I have 4 kids. I can clearly remember like 7 years ago walking up the stairs to my house at the time, and it was like 10 in the morning, and my daughter Emily said, "Dad, can I have a popsicle?" And I was like, "No, you can't have a popsicle. It's 10 in the morning." And then her rebuttal was, "Please?" And I was firm with her, but then she said, "Please." And I was like, I realized I don't really care. It's 10. Who cares? And she got her popsicle. She owned me, you know? And so the point is, you don't know what's on the other side of that objection. So you can't let the intimidation factor get in the way. You have to overcome no matter what you hear, at least try several times at least. Perfect. Any questions? Any objection issues? I think I'm going to end this segment here. I want to see if you guys have any questions for me, anything like that.